Welcome back to another episode with Wellness with Mo. Hi, my name is Mo, and this week's episode we have an amazing guest. She is a positive psychology coach, a culture change specialist, a leadership coach, a positive organization psychology, and post-traumatic growth expert. None other than Michelle Falzon. Is that how you pronounce your last name? I'm really sorry. I'm very bad with names.
No,
Or is that
you nailed it, Mo.
Thank you. It's a quite an impressive line of work you're doing, Michelle. So thank you for being with us. I mean, it's amazing to have you, and you're the first Aussie to be on my show. I mean, I had Germans, I had British people, and I had American people. So you're the first Aussie. So hey.
I'm super honored.
Yeah. So Michelle, tell me, I want to know more, and my listeners definitely do. Want to know more. What is your journey? Because I'm always intrigued by people's journey, because usually, when you go wherever you are in that area of expertise, definitely have you had kind of like a story to back that up. Like for myself, I market myself as a mindfulness coach and resilient coach because that is exactly my journey during from 2020 until today. So tell me, what is your journey, Michelle? How did you become a positive psychologist coach?
Well,
That
thank
is
you so
correct.
much for acknowledging the fact that our stories are a powerful catalyst in us becoming who we essentially are today, and the stories we have in the present moment will be the catalyst of our future selves, basically. And I'm a firm believer that life is our greatest teacher. So I truly love it when people ask me this, and albeit it's only been in recent times that I have been able to navigate my story with appropriate language and articulation towards the subject matter. Uh, but ultimately, I've come to where I am today to be the person that I am through a journey of loss and grief and facing my own mental health challenges in that journey. And in recognizing that those mental health challenges gave me the opportunity to walk the dark night of the soul
Mhm.
and become anti-fragile in this space of heartache and adversity. So to go back in time a little bit, I, in a previous lifetime, was a high school teacher,
Okay.
and I loved it. I started education when I was 24 years of age, so I was young. I was straight out of university, and in essence, it became my dream job, and I thought I was going to stay in this space until retirement. And 7 years into my career, I faced a somewhat challenging cohort of senior students, and I, at that point in time, was pregnant, blessed with the second child in my family, and
Boy or girl?
due to
Was it a boy or girl? That's the most
well,
important.
my first cherub is a daughter,
Okay,
and
amazing,
and
amazing.
then yeah, and then in 2012, I was blessed to fall pregnant again.
Mm.
But it was just unfortunate that due to uh, prolonged induced state of stress
Mm.
that I faced in the workplace, I fell sick, and yeah, I went into premature labor, and unfortunately, my second daughter was born too early and was too young to survive, and so naturally that took me down a very dark space of existence, and I had to journey through that emotional turmoil, and I suppose life changed trajectory very, very fast for me.
Mm.
But nevertheless, it's now been 11 and a half years since that time in my life. And in that journey of growth and evolution, I've learned to accept that my cross to bear, basically, has been my greatest blessing, and with the utmost humble respect and love for my daughter, it is now something that I hold immense gratitude towards. It was that moment in time that has allowed me to become who I am today. So it is that learning journey through unexpected life experiences that has allowed me to take a leap of faith and step into many unknown, uncharted waters of unfamiliarity. And in 2020, I embarked on further learning as a mature student, long distance correspondence learning with the University of East London. And I started my Masters of Applied Positive Psychology and Coaching Psychology. And at the time, I was still working full time. So it was a bit of a juggling act. We were facing a global pandemic, working, and then I embarked on some studying. But again, that was a hugely stressful period of time a couple of years ago, learning halfway across the world. But it was an incredible couple of years where I got to expand my mind and dive into the science and the research pertaining to these subject areas that are pivotal in our evolution as human beings, exploring the study of happiness, the science of happiness, and learning about existentialism and coaching within organizations. It's profound.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of videos, and I read a lot of things about happiness and psychology in the essence. You know, a lot of people, and you definitely agree with me, find that the pandemic was a bad year for people in terms of business, health, and that is true. I would not, make that any less of importance. But as a spiritual human being, as someone who believes in, believes in God and whatever, and believes in the mysteries of the universe, I find that the pandemic was like a message from way up there to us poor human beings, because to that being, we are very fragile, very weak. We're just, but it's a direct message that you need to look after your health and see, I can do this to the whole globe, not just one specific race, country, or even gender. It's on the whole thing. So for me, the pandemic was like an opening for my journey. Without it, I don't know. Maybe without it, I wouldn't be able to be where I am. So I'm so intrigued. I have so many questions to ask you. Let me ask you one really important question, because I want to know your take about this. What do you think is resilience? Do you think it's a skill inside a human being? It's there, and it will only come out when that person is put into a stressful position? Or are certain human beings more resilient than others?
I think first and foremost, it's a brilliant question. And I will preface my response by stating that it is a subjective response. But I think for the most part, we are born with resilience as a, what's the right word, I suppose? Almost like a foundational basis, right? We all have the ability to be resilient. However, as individuals journey through life, and we all experience a plethora of different situations and moments in time and so on and so forth, we tap into that well of resilience far easier than some, or more often than others. And I also think our childhood plays a mammoth element, I suppose, for lack of a better term, that allows us to tap into that well in different capacities as well. So, for example, if we grow up in a childhood where our caregivers, our parents, our guardians encourage us by positive reinforcement, by supportive dialogue and language, by encouraging us simply by saying, I believe in you, as opposed to the polar opposite, where a child can be exposed to constant negative, argumentative feedback, questions a lot about their abilities and their strengths, and so on and so forth. Then of course, the child who is raised in a more positively structured family will feel more comfortable to tap into their resilient resource, as opposed to the child who said, I don't think you can do that, or you'll never be smart enough, or, you know, high achieving academics don't run in our family lineage, so don't even try your hardest, for example. So our childhood experiences will play a significant role as to how, as adults, we embrace our innate intrinsic levels of resiliency. So I think positive affirmation is really important. I think our internal dialogue and how we learn to speak to ourselves when we look in the reflection of a mirror is also really important, but also who we surround ourselves with, our social peers and connections. If we are immersing ourselves with groups of people who are constantly fearful, anxious, not willing perhaps to engage in new experiences, then that conditioning holds us back as well.
You're correct, because you see, all my life, I have a brother who's younger than me by 6 years, but my parents always told me when I was growing up that you are more resilient than your brother. Your character is built in that way that you can overcome any challenges that you face. And for that is true, because when I was in Australia, and that's a funny story. I lived in Sydney, and all my life during those 4 years, I was talking in pure English constantly, in at home, at school, with my friends, skateboarding, and playing around, those and playing cricket and whatever. And when I came back to Egypt, I was in 7th grade. I had to repeat the grade. And the system in Egypt is that if you come from a country and your Arabic is not any good, so they exempt you for all Arabic subjects, and you only do the math and the English and so on, and sciences and so on. And when I got to 9th grade, which in Egypt is like a very important grade, because this is like high school certificate, and then you go to the seniors part. It was my first time to study Arabic. And for those who are listening, studying your mother language, especially if it's Arabic, it's quite a difficult language. I mean, it's as difficult as Chinese and as maybe Japanese. Very difficult. A lot of grammar, a lot of words, and it all depends on how you hear the words and how you write it. So that, plus during the exams, I got chickenpox. So with that and that, I had the resilience to overcome my challenges. So that said, and what you were saying is really important, because I think that families that keep children, don't go there, don't jump, don't go out. The car is going to hit you. No, for me, I really I understand their fear, but at the same time, there's always the other side. What will happen if nothing happens? You know,
Yes.
what have so and when I grew up, and I'm talking about um, uh, the place, safety place, or working in a safe environment at work and not taking the next step. So people come to me, okay, I'm here in my comfort zone. So I ask them, are you happy? No. Right. So why don't you take a step? Oh, I'm afraid, I'm afraid of taking a step. What happens if I fail? So what? If you fail, you learn, you get up. But no, no, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. It will look really bad to my family, my credibility, my honor, if you want to say it in a very traditional. So the problem here, I don't know in the Western world, but the problem here in Egypt, in the Middle East, especially, the word failure equates with being absolutely nothing. You will not amount to anything, being zero. But being
Mm.
successful is really important. The problem is people don't understand. To become successful, you have to fail. You can never be, no one is ever born successful and becomes successful. And no one's ever
Mm.
born fail and he keeps failing. And a lot of people, for me, on my personal, I went into this job and I didn't do well, and then I went to this job. And so a lot of people who are close to me, they said, "Why are you failing in all this is not me. This is not my character. Don't put me in somewhere where I cannot fit, and you expect me to, you know, go ahead." So I think, like you said, resilience is there, but it depends on how we look at things. Do we look at it in a negative way or in a positive way, and we learn from it? So that said, I want to ask you this, Michelle. When we talk about positive psychology, we talk about happiness. People here and maybe around the world still don't understand what happiness means. And for me, happiness is not being always smiling or always laughing or always being, upbeat. Happiness is being in a state that I'm okay with what I have, my internal war between myself and my ego and whatever is going inside me. I'm fine with it. I accept it, and I have the ability to overcome whatever and to become more successful. This is what I say. So, what do you think? You know, what is happiness, and why do people think that being positive has to be equating with you have to smile and you have to be
Mm.
always upbeat about things. So, as a positive
Mm.
coach, what's your intake about this?
Well, for me, I think happiness really stems from one's ability to acknowledge whatever is going on in your life, and beyond acknowledgement, acceptance. I learnt about these very two important words and how pivotal they are to the evolution of one's growth. Back when I was facing my adversity, took me a number of years to acknowledge my suffering, and it took me a little bit longer again to accept it. And once that I had acknowledged and accepted that my suffering had occurred and it was now a part of me, I started to learn how to use that to support a newfound sense of happiness in my life as the woman that I am. And it therefore gave me the chance to discern meaning. And I think for the most part, when we're able to acknowledge whatever adversities, challenges, sufferings we face, unforeseen or otherwise, all plays a part in creating meaning in our everyday to day life, then we discover happiness in a way that allows us to thrive and flourish as human beings. You know, life is based on evolution. It has been since the first day that God created man and woman, and or whatever your belief is in this spiritual / cultural / religious space.
Mm.
Just as life has evolved, technology has evolved, and therefore human beings are evolving. And we need to acknowledge that every day that we wake and every day we close our eyes to end that day, we have learned, we have grown, we have evolved. And so too has our happiness. So too has our conscious awareness and our ability to place meaning on all lessons learned throughout that, 8 to 12 or 16-hour day. So happiness can be found in anything and everything, even in our sufferings. Later on in reflection, there is that learning journey, which inevitably creates an element of happiness.
Yes.
And that's very difficult to understand, particularly if your listeners right now, Mo, are going through an enormous challenge within their life. It is only after the fact, and nobody can crystal ball how long that is, but in time, the lessons will be grasped, and there will be this, I am thankful for that experience. And because of that essence of gratitude, we find an essence of happiness.
Yes.
So they're all interlinked, but it is a slow journey, slower for others. But when we are able to have faith and believe and be patient, then the journey that we travel on is a lot easier to embrace. And going back to your original question, that is a huge contribution to happiness within human existence.
Yeah. As a mindfulness coach, and I learned from the best, to be honest. I learned from people from India, because Indians, as a whole, they are an amazing group of people. They have the ability to be happy, because this is how their religion and their beliefs try and show in India and in China and all the Asian countries where Hinduism and Buddhism are, are the main thing. Because I read a lot about Hinduism and Buddhism, and the essence of their messages goes well with the essence of other religions like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. The idea is that gratitude is so essential. Even even in as a Muslim, we are supposed to be always grateful, 24/7. The problem is, Michelle, is that we use that word, being grateful, in a sense that it doesn't really come from the heart. We just say it because we have to say it. But I sometimes tell people, you have to be grateful. You have to see the little things that other people don't have. You have, for example, good health. You have good children. They're good in terms of they don't go into trouble. They don't create trouble. They're good at school. Maybe naughtiness is something that is nature of the children. You have a good wife who supports you, who's in beside you in every area. You have a good family, and you have a good group of friends. And all that people tend not to see. They will see it when everything goes bad, when they lose something, and then they start to see. For me, during my journey, I was literally out of a job, so I should I should be very depressed, very worried, very old, and especially during the pandemic period, we know that a lot of companies are not hiring, and in actual fact, they are laying off a lot of employees around the world. So I should worry more, but I looked at my situation and said, I'm grateful. I have my family. I have people who can support me even financially and understand that I'm going into a difficult journey. And I have my children, and nothing happened in terms of maybe the love or whatever. Oh, I would admit, of course, my my emotional state of mind was not 100%, because people cannot be 100% happy all the time. I mean, there are good days, there
No,
are bad days. People think that because I'm a mindfulness coach and I want you to correct, I should always be happy. That is not correct. I'm a human being. I have to be, the first thing my Indian mentor taught me is you have to accept all the emotions that you have. It's okay to be angry or sad. It's okay to be, you know. So
yeah.
I wanted to ask you something. Being a coach, a positive psychology coach, does that help you understand other people, how they come, or if I want to contact you for a professional service, what is it that I have to have for you to help me, or how does it go?
It's not about what you have to have. It's just about knowing more so what is it that you're working towards, and what do you need, but what do you already have? And I love the question that you've asked me, because being a positive psychology coach doesn't just support me in knowing other people, it supports me in knowing myself. And for the first 27 years of my existence, I truly believe that I was living this life that was not intrinsically conducive to my soul.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when I had to face my heartache and my challenges, I say now that the old Michelle passed on
Okay.
with the passing of her daughter,
Mm.
only to be rebirthed. And I live this newfound, beautiful, soulful existence. And like what you said, Mo, it's not that what we do as mindset or resilient coaches or positive psychology coaches makes us immune to heartache in life. There are still days where I feel down and out. There are still days where I feel emotionally unstable. There are still days where at the end of it all, I might just sit in the shower and have a really good cry. But it's just that everything that I have learned on my journey of my master's, and even prior to that, when I was learning everything in this space just without the science and the research associated to it, I discovered and developed these tools that I now have in my metaphorical life toolbox. And so I'm just as prone to frustration and anger and sadness and grief and everything else, just as much as I am anything positive in life as well as the next person. I just deal with them differently.
Yeah.
So neurologically, my brain has fired and wired very differently because of my experiences and my own wanting to learn and grow. It was all very natural for me personally.
Mm.
So this love of what I do genuinely comes from a first-hand experience of life over 11 and a half years. And so I am blessed to understand the power of gratitude, not as a whimsical word,
Yeah.
to flippantly say to somebody, oh, what are you grateful for today? But to
Exactly.
genuinely sit, in our heart space
Mm.
and go, tell me what you feel you're grateful for today.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what you know you're grateful for,
Mm.
but what do you feel you're grateful for?
Yeah. Exactly.
What do
Exactly.
you, what do you feel
Mm.
you want your intentions to be today? And what are your best hopes
Mm.
for the next 12 hours of
Yeah.
your waking moment? So,
That's amazing, because uh, when when people look at us on social media, on LinkedIn, people still tend to judge people on LinkedIn, on social media, that they're having
Absolutely.
an amazing life, and the truth is they don't know where we have reached. You and I, our point in life, we've reached it not because we like. I mean, of course we like it, but we reached it because it was a result of a journey, of an agonizing journey. You for having that to deal with, and me for feeling that I'm out of a job at an age that is so so critical. I have other financial obligations. I have two boys are growing up, and I have a house to run, and it's not as easy in Egypt to find jobs because they're very limited, and and not just limited in terms of for me as an age, certain age group where I have to be limited in terms of something interesting to do, so I can succeed in. So people tend to judge us, but they don't know that we suffered a lot for them to be happy. For people who are listening to us today to understand that it is not easy to get where we want to get, but we do it because we know we have to do it, because we know that if we don't do it, then nothing will ever happen. For example, if I want to grow this podcast and reach everyone around the world, I have to do the extra effort getting to know you. So I send you an invite on LinkedIn. You might be, diplomatic enough to say, maybe next time, maybe I'm not really, I wouldn't be mad or sad or, upset. I would totally understand, but I have to do that. And I have to ask that question because maybe, and I don't know, say yes. And when you say yes, oh yeah, I'm really happy. I'm going to get to know Michelle. So, people still tend to judge. And I try and tend to say, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge us.
Absolutely.
You don't know how we are. I might be happy. Yeah, I'm a positive person. This is not a bad thing, but I have my ups, I have my downs, and this is a normal thing. I mean, if I don't have that, if I'm always positive, then that's not normal. So I wanted
You're
to
not facing reality.
exactly. I wanted to ask you something. How do you as professionals deal with mental issues, health issues in schools? Because that is really an important thing I want to understand. Because as grown-ups, we understand where the main areas of pain is: having a 9 to 5 job, stress of the job, stress of society, stress of the marriage. But also, I think the kids grow up, if they're traumatized some way or somehow by us as parents, then it's always there. So how do we educate those young people about mental health issues? Because in Egypt here, mental health is there. People understand it, but it's not, no one's educating anyone, and that's my issue.
Mo, I love this question. As an educator in the education system for just under 20 years, I answered a very similar question at a conference a couple of years back, with the utmost fear. I think I had sweat dripping down my body because I knew that what I was about to step into was either going to make or break me as a person and in my career. And it was a room full of educators from all walks of life, different year levels.
Yeah.
And I took this deep breath and I said, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to say comes with the utmost respect to every one of you as a wonderful expert in your field of teaching. But the education system is not serving our youth the way it needs to. If anything, it is causing detrimental breaks in their mentality, and the education system needs to be revolutionized. It is not to say that specific areas of learning aren't needed or required. There is a place for the learning of mathematics. There is a place for the learning of science, biology, chemistry. There is a place for the learning of literature and religion and sport. But what we do is we place so many children in one box, and then we put that box on a belt, a production belt, and it goes through a system with all of those children in the one box. Now, not all of those children in that one box enjoy learning Shakespeare, and not all of those children are mathematically inclined and want to become accountants. Not all of those children want to be famous soccer players. But yet they all go through the same system. So what would it look like if we revolutionized education purely based on our gift of communication and our ability to converse with each other by asking very simple but yet powerful questions to elicit a state of curiosity and connection to our own strengths and passions? So to I guess answer your question more specifically, we don't teach enough life skills in school because we're too busy being mandated and governed by curriculum and assessment in ways that only I believe exacerbates the stress response. Again, not everybody does well with writing, and not everybody is able to retain 8 to 10 weeks of information only to then regurgitate it in a silent environment that is titled examination. So we place all of these external conditioned stresses on our youth, expect them to deliver with an optimal response, but we're not creating the environment for them.
No, not even here in Egypt. Here in Egypt, at the education system, I'm not going to say it's bad because we have the British system, the IG, the IB, and we have the French system, we have the German, and we have the American and Canadian system. They're all good. I'm not going to say, and we have the Egyptian system. So put the Egyptian system aside because that is something that needs a lot of dissection. But even my son is in IG. He's in his last year, and he always asks me these questions: why do I have to take that subject? What's so important about it? Okay, what do I mean, it's a really good question because if you think about it, really, I mean, he's going to learn it, memorize it, put it on paper, go outside. If I ask him, what did you do? He'll tell me, I can't remember. I just put whatever I remembered on the paper. So, and my son is a person who does not like to memorize. He has a problem. Even like, he hated biology. And biology was it's a memorizing subject. You have to memorize, and he doesn't know how to memorize, and he's very honest. So we teach our children to learn certain subjects, and at the end of the day, we don't give them really important life skills and how we can deal with stress, and what are the avenues to deal with stress. I try to start a certain awareness campaign in schools that mental health has to start from a young age, and we shouldn't wait until we're grown-ups and adults and start to deal with all the baggages that we have from years and years of trauma. So yeah, I agree with you. I really do. So Michelle, usually you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Mo, that we live in a society globally. I truly believe that for the most part, we are reactive in dealing with mental health challenges, rather than being proactive and supporting healthy, positive mental states of existence.
Yeah.
So, and you're absolutely right. It was such a touching moment to listen to you say that you attempted, and you still are attempting, to raise this awareness of just how important it is to integrate positive psychology and all of the science and research pertaining to this field that is proactively supporting positive mental health and overall well-being and states of living from a young age, purely by getting people to ask one simple question: why? Why do you want to do this? What do you hope to gain from engaging in this? How does doing this make you feel? Those simple questions that then elicit an understanding and a knowing that drive our motivation and our purpose in life. If we can align what we do with who we are at the core of our existence, we develop a sense of purpose, and where we feel valued. And when we feel valued, then there is this integrative approach that allows us to really thrive in our existence.
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree with you, Michelle. Totally agree with you. Usually I love asking this question to my guests because I mean, I get a lot of different responses. So, what is one word or one sentence that describes you, Michelle?
Oh my goodness.
I know you would like that question, Michelle. I know.
A word or a sentence that that describes me best.
I can describe you without knowing you, by the way, but I'm not going to tell you until you tell me your sentence.
Okay, we'll tag team. I
Okay.
think I will take on this challenge twofold. I think the best word that describes me is passionate. I'm super passionate about what I do. And a sentence that describes me: I love life. I love all aspects of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My take would be you're full of positive and love and energy. It's all coming out of you. I don't know you personally, but I feel like if I have a new friend in Australia, the country that I
Yes.
really loved living there. So you have full of energy, full of life, and obviously the agony and the journey, the difficult journey you went through, you came out totally a different person. It's just like, I'm sorry to make this like a this like a snake that sheds its skin. So I
Yes.
think that's what happened to you. You were a snake. You shed your skin, and then it became something different. And I really love
Definitely.
the energy that's coming from your side. So contagious. My,
Thanks, Mo.
my last question for you: what is your dream?
My dream is to continue working on building this legacy based on an awareness that life is meant to be lived, and we are meant to embrace everything it has to offer, and to not be scared of stepping into the unknown. And when my time is done on this earth, I hope that moments like these beautiful, powerful conversations with incredibly inspirational people like you, Mo, will be listened to, and people will take snippets of what I say and feel inspired by quoting such conversations between you and I, or myself and other people at different times in life, and just realize that when you put your mind to it, honestly, anything is possible. anything's possible.
Yeah, it's such an amazing thing you said. I mean, I really hope that you continue to do this amazing job and to inspire everyone around the world. I really enjoyed our discussion. I hope I wasn't it wasn't too heavy on you. I hope I
Not at
hope
all.
I hope I was, merciful in my questions, like they say, not too much. I really enjoyed
No,
Michelle, our time. I hope we can work together soon. I really want to come and visit Australia. I have a lot of friends in Melbourne, also Egyptian friends too. So
ah,
yeah,
it's time you come for a visit, Mo.
yeah. I hope so. So thank you, Michelle, for being with us on the show. It was amazing. I really enjoyed our time.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone for listening today. I hope you were inspired by today's episode. And until next week, God bless you and be safe.